Hi ladies and gentlemen, my name is Daniel and I want to welcome you to Study with Delta. This is a channel where we learn math and science every week at a very comprehensive level. And this week I'm so excited to come your way with a lesson in maths. This week we want to look at bearing. Now, before we talk about bearing, I always like to revisit some of the topics that have links to this topic. So we'll look at cardinal point, then we'll look at angles. Now, we know that the cardinal point helps us to find direction, and it gives us direction in the north, the south, the east, and the west. So if I have the cardinal points, sorry for my crooked line. I have north here, I have south, I have east, I have west. Now, the angle between angle is where two lines meet. So, the angle between north and the east is 90 degrees. And that forms a right angle, we already know that. Then, between east and south is 90 degrees, another 90 degrees, making 180. This means the angle between north and south is 180 degrees. The angle between north and east is 90. Also, this is 90 degrees. This side is also 90 degrees. So I can say that the angle between north and my west, 90, 90, 90, which gives me 270 degrees. Then from north up to north gives me 360 degrees, just like a circle. So I can call this 0 degrees because I'm moving. And when I come here, I can call this 90 degrees. Forget about the E. Then I can call this 180 degrees. I can call this 270 degrees. And I call this 360 degrees. So at the north, you have 0 degrees and 360 degrees. At the east, you have 90 degrees. At the south, you have 180 degrees. At the west, you have 270 degrees. Keep this in mind because we're going to use it, or we're going to apply this in the course of our lesson. So cardinal point. Now, I said we'll talk about angles. We remember from our lesson in angles, right angles. So we know if this is a right angle, all right angles sum up to 90 degrees. Now, if we know that, if I give you here to be 70 degrees, and I ask you to find x, we should be able to find x. 70 and x gives us 90 degrees. So I can say 70 plus x equal to 90 degrees. So that I send my 70 to the right-hand side of the equation. I have 90 minus 70. So my x now becomes 20 degrees. So anytime we are given an angle in the midst of a right angle, we can add those two angles and equate it to 90 degrees. Also, I want us to look at a straight angle or a straight line. If I have a straight line, we know all straight lines, the angle in between the straight line is 180 degrees. So if everything is 180 degrees, sorry about this. If everything is 180 degrees, and I have only this side being 100, let's say this side is 100 degrees, and I want this side, I call this x. So if this side is 100 degrees, and this side is x, and everything equates to 180 degrees, if I want the x, all I have to do is to add these two together, then I equate it to 180 degrees. So 100 plus x equal to 180 degrees. So x equal to, I send 100 to the right side of the equation, so 180 minus 100. So x gives me 80 degrees. So my x is now degrees. I want us to do this because we are going to apply this in the questions that we have on the right side. So let's go to our question. We are supposed to find the bearing of P from O. We are supposed to find the bearing of P from O. Now you do realize that if I put 0, I like to do that. Put 90 here, which means from here to here is 90. Put 180 here, which means from north to south is 180 degrees. Put 270 here, and I can put 360 here, just to help me remember. Now you realize that our angle is falling in between north and east. Now, this information I'm about to give you is very important when it comes to bearing, especially with diagrams. All the time we take our bearings from the north. All the time. So from the north to our P. So this is where our angle is supposed to be. So the bearing of P from O should be in between north and P. So let's call it X over here. So you realize that you have X here, you have 48, and everything between north and east equates to 90 degrees. So we can form an equation from it and say X plus 48 degrees should be equal to 90 degrees. So we send 48 to the right side, X equal to 90 minus 48 degrees. So our X should be 90 from, so our 90 minus 48 gives us 42. So this is 42 degrees. So our bearing of P from O is 42 degrees. Now let's look at the second example. I want to find the bearing of K from O. Note the direction where K is. K is in between east and your south. Now don't forget that we said that we take our bearings always from the north. So from the north to K, this is the angle we are looking for from this side to this side. Now one thing I forgot was that bearings are represented in 3-digit figures. So instead of 48, 042, instead of 42, 042. Now we come over here. You realize that this is just like angle on a straight line. You remember from the previous example. Yes, so this is a straight line. The angle between this is 180 degrees. So if I have 40, I can represent all this from the north to my K. I can represent it with X. If that is so, we can also form an equation with this. So we say X plus 40 should be equal to 180 degrees. So X equal to, I send my 40 to the right side. So 180 minus 40. X should be 180 minus 40 should give me 140 degrees. So the bearing of K from O, is going to be 140 degrees. Are we okay? Let's look at C. We are looking for the bearing of T from O. The bearing of T from O. Alright. So we can put our 0 here, 90, 180, 270, 360. You can even remove the 360 if you want. So 0, 90, 180, 270. We realize that if we are taking our bearing, this T from the north, we are looking at from north to T. Now, from north to our T, we have covered, we know from north to south is 180. So we only have to add 60 to 180 to get the bearing of T from O. So from north to my T, from north to south is 180 degrees. I only have to add the 60 to it. So I say 180, you see that is why we wrote this 180 right here. So 180 plus my 60 degrees. should give me, so 180 plus my 60 degrees gives me 240 degrees. So the bearing of T from O will be 240 degrees. Easy, right? Okay, D with 0, 90, 180, 270, 360, but we don't. You can choose not to write it. Now, again, we are taking all the time, we take our bearings from the north. So from the north all the way to the W. So you realize that from the north, I passed 90 degrees, I passed 180, I even passed 270 degrees. So 270 degrees plus 20 should give you from north up to W. Can you see that? So from north up to south is 180. Then south, so from north to west is 270. So I only have to add 20 to it to get the whole angle from north to W. So to get W, the bearing of W, I can write 270 degrees plus my 20 degrees. So 270 degrees plus 20 degrees is going to give me 290 degrees. Now, if I went too fast with the explanation, you can let me know in the comment section so that I go over them again for you. We have our last question. I've condensed everything and I've placed it in one question. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm not going to solve all for you, because A is just like the first question we solved. Then B is just like the third question we solved. We'll only look at C. So I want you to try your hand on A. Don't forget A is in a right angle. So 30 plus our angle over here. Don't forget, we take our angles always from the north. We take our angles from the north. So if here is x plus 30 should give us 90. Then I can find x to be 60. Then when I come here, I'm taking it from the north to the south. So I know from the north to the south, here is 0, here is 90 degrees, here is 180, here is 270 degrees. Right. So I know that from the north to the south is 180. So all I have to do is to just add 19 to it. I'll get the bearing of B from O, taking it from the north to B. Now let's look at the C. I think we haven't solved a type like the C. Again, we always take our bearing, our directions from the north. So we take it from the north, so from the north up to our C. So from the north up to our C. Now you do realize that everything is 360, right? So we are looking from north up to C. Everything is 360. So if I'm taking 32 from 360, I'll get my final answer. So 360 minus 32 degrees. So I have 360 minus 32. I have 8 here. I have 2 here. I have 328. So 328 degrees. So the bearing of C from O, we take our direction from the north. So from the north up to C, we want everything from here up to C. We know everything in total is 360. We have a portion being 32. So if you want to find the rest, we subtract 32 from 360. It gives me 328. Thank you for joining me in this lesson. If you like this video, you can leave a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit on the subscribe button and turn on the notification so that you get our future videos.